Welcome to IHIP News. Josh is still subbing for Pumps, who is on a much-needed vacation. Trump, now that he has won, and for his second term, he loves to troll our allies, in particular Canada. And he thinks it would be real fun for Canada to be the 51st state. And he has already started to demean the current Prime Minister of Canada, Justin Trudeau, by calling him Governor Trudeau. And here's what the American public, the majority of the American public doesn't understand. Considering the majority voted for Trump, I'm just going to go ahead and say the majority don't understand this. Canada and Canadians have health care as a right. It is far more liberal than the United States of America. It is a completely secular government. It doesn't have a whole bunch of Bible thumpers running around trying to put the 10 Commandments in schools. So what I have to say about this is, number one, be careful what you wish for. And number two, the notion that Canadians are just chomping at the bit to be Americans is the biggest lie that Trump perpetuates. The people within MAGA think that everybody in the world is just chomping at the bit to be an American. They have no idea that when you get to France, when you get to England, when you get all over Europe, Australia, that people look and they go, oh God, America's the worst. The guns, the religion, Trump. But listen to what this Canadian MP, Charlie Angus, has to say.
I thought he was punking. I thought it was people were pulling my chain. I'm at a Christmas gathering and people are like, hey, did you see Donald Trump's telling us to go to hell and he's going to take us over? And it's like, yeah, stop playing games. It's Christmas. Nobody's that mean and that vicious and stupid on Christmas Day. But whoa, I was wrong. There's Donald Trump, the man that so many evangelical people thought he was representing Jesus. That's how he spends Christmas Day. I felt I needed to respond, because not only is he threatening us, but he's telling us how great it would be. I'm sorry, Donald. You know, you got a country. In our country, we believe that healthcare should be accessible to all and that assault weapons should not. And you don't have the same viewpoint at all. We got 48,000 gun deaths in the United States last year. We had 289 in Canada. And we got a lot of registered gun owners. I'm a registered gun owner. We don't want what you're selling.
Okay, Josh, what do you have to say about that?
Well, I've tried to decompress a little bit from the political news cycle with Donald Trump, but every time I see or hear something like that, it just reminds me of what a horrible, awful human being this man is. That's basically what this MP is saying. You hear something like this, you don't think it's the truth. Then it comes from our president-elect on Christmas Day. And again, this is the symbolism of Christianity that the Republicans have appointed. And he's on, I presume, Truth Social or some social media network, making these proclamations about Canada. It's absurd. And this is the elected president of the United States for the next 4 years. And I think we're going to have to get used to this sort of absurd news cycle. And then we're just left with how do you explain this to someone? If if one of our sons came up and asked us a question, hey, why did the president-elect make this statement? We're going to get that a lot. It's be like, I have no idea. What do you think about it?
Well, I think that you're going to have a lot of pushback globally regarding Trump. And I think that it's going to be interesting to see what he does with Canada. And right now, I just think it's bluster. I think he thinks it'd be fun. It's like he's playing, the board game War. I think he thinks it'd be fun. Like, yeah, I'm going to get Panama Canal. I'm going to get Canada. I'm going to get Greenland. And he thinks it's like this fun thing. And it's like a real estate acquisition. He doesn't understand how to govern. The only reason that we survived those 4 years is because he was so incompetent and the institutions were able to hold. As we get into this, you're going to have what's going on with Putin? What is going to go on with NATO? Are we still going to support Ukraine? And I don't know how, number one, competent he is. And number two, one of the things that his supporters liked about him was that he wasn't a hawk. And traditionally, Republicans are such hawks. He's already, before he's already started all of this hawkish style talk. Plus his relationship with Putin, I think, is wildly concerning.
But I mean, so you think he's being serious in this tweet or this statement he made on social media? You think Trump is?
I think that in his mind, I think there's what he thinks he can do. And I think when he looks in the mirror, he sees George Clooney looking back at him. He thinks he's hot. He thinks he's athletic. He thinks that he can, Canada, come on, we're going to help you. And he thinks all of these things are super easy because he has delusions of grandeur that only a psychiatrist or psychologist could truly explain. I obviously, we're not going to be able to take over Canada. I mean, that's just, unless it's some form of war. I mean, it's just simply not going to happen.
The only positive thing about this is he says so many stupid things all the time that simply don't become truthful or that are lies, that when I hear something like this, I tend to be dismissive and think, okay, this is just him going fucking crazy on Christmas morning. Otherwise, I think I would go crazy thinking that I don't think that that's a reality that he can do something like that. But I will say this, I don't think that any of us can put it past him that he's going to try to do as much crazy shit as he can do when he's in office. And that includes foreign policy and his relationships with foreign leaders. If it's as soon as we start thinking that, no, there's no way he'll do that, then sure enough, he's going to try to do that.
So let me ask you this. I think he does a lot of things that are to take the American public's eye off the ball. So you have Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy, who joined Trump, who is the most anti-immigration president that's ever run. And he's talking about, rounding up immigrants on day one, deporting them. Meanwhile, DOGE, the Department of Government Efficiency, where he's appointed Elon Musk, who's not even American, and Vivek Ramaswamy, they're both saying, wait, hold up. We need to be able to have immigrant engineers to run our companies. And so now there's already this little battle in between MAGA where they're like, wait, hold up. I thought it was America first. All of this stuff, none of this helps these voters that are out there on Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security, are probably going to get tax raises where Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy are going to get tax decreases. You're an attorney. You go in and you pick juries in these small towns. What are issues that the Democrats could start pounding right now to form a coalition, a broad coalition that are off of all of these wedge issues? What are some things that you hear jurors all across a state like Oklahoma, which is deeply red, that they are aggrieved with? I mean, it's not Canada.
Well, it's what resonates with all people in whether it's rural Oklahoma or urban Oklahoma for that matter, but corporate greed and people that are working 40, 50 hours a week that are making less money, and then something happens, their loved one gets in a car accident, and then the insurance company denies coverage for some reason that no one understands. Or you get sent to the hospital and your health insurance doesn't pay but maybe 25% of the bill. It's issues like that people take home with them that make them mad, that they wake up and they think, God damn, how did this happen? And so if the Democrats can grab a hold, because those are really easy issues to get to resonate with people in rural America. If the Democrats can message, and those are just a few examples, if they can message those type of things to working class people and let them know they care about them, and not make everything so intellectual, not make everything so anti-Trump, just make it about protecting people and their rights.
It's interesting. The Drudge Report, since Trump won, he never mentions his name on his main page. And Matt Drudge is that, aggregator that's been around since the Clinton days. And so, I think the Democratic approach moving forward, number one, they're going to have to start labeling the right wing fake Christians. Just like Trump, they label us, radical leftists. I think we're going to have some mean names for Trumpers and start labeling them to where people go, wait, I don't think I'm a fake Christian. And big money Trumpers, big corporate Trumpers, because one thing that I think is right is that everybody universally in the United States has been dicked over by capitalism. Everybody at some point has earnestly done their part and paid into whatever it is that they're supposed to, and they've been dicked over. Or, like people have gotten hooked on opiates. People have gotten hooked on benzodiazepines. Big pharma always wins. Look at what happened with the cigarette industry. And we're going to see more and more of this. Trump and Doge and all of these people could give two shits about the general American public. They don't give a shit. It is all, we have now moved into an oligarchy. And I think the Democratic approach moving forward has to be two-pronged. Call them out for being the lying, hypocrite pieces of shits that they are, and use very aggressive language in doing so. But also start to unite people, a 50-state strategy, big city and rural towns, that the Democrats are the people that hold corporate America accountable. The reason the CEO that got shot in the streets of Manhattan, nobody gives a shit that he was gunned down. I mean, there's, Fox News does. But the majority of people are like, yeah, that guy was a piece of shit, because everybody knows somebody, or they personally have been denied health care. And this man that was murdered used AI to deny people healthcare claims. Yeah. And so that's why people are kind of like, well, I mean, he was a mass murderer, so why should I give a shit about him?
Yeah, I think what we're saying is when it comes to messaging with Democrats, you have all of these issues that are winners, that if you can just explain or articulate to the American people in a plain way and talk about these type of things, corporate greed. One of the other things you mentioned that when I'm in a lot of these small rural cities in Oklahoma, you see that it's completely overtaken by drug addiction and alcoholism. And whether I'm picking a jury and asking a juror questions, everybody has had someone impacted by drugs or alcohol. And so you take these issues and you use them to your advantage. It's like the Republicans intentionally want people to stay uneducated, to stay sick. That way they're vulnerable and they don't have a voice. And there's a reason why they want to keep people from voting. They want to make it much more difficult to get normal people, minorities, anyone that they think is going to vote against them, because they know that the masses will come out at some point if they become educated and see all of this for what it is. And that's I think, going to be the challenge and the job of the Democrats is, how do we bring that to the American people? How do we get officials and leaders that can go out and talk to all these people in a normal, ordinary way and stand up, like you said, stand up to the Republicans, say things that are direct, say things that might be interpreted as being a little bit mean and spiteful. But by God, if you're going to try to overthrow the government, or if you're going to do certain things, we're going to take certain swift positions and be very unapologetic about it.
I think that one thing that Republicans have done is identified a common enemy for the American public to dislike. And it's usually a very marginalized group: immigrants, gays, drag queens, trans people. The Democrats need to start branding the enemy, and it is corporate America, and we need to call it MAGA corporate America. And we also need to talk about big Christian America, where all of these mega churches are for profit, that do not pay taxes, that buy these Trump Bibles. And we need to start identifying them as the common enemy, because people like to get behind something to hate. These people are ripped off and sold a bag of goods, and then it's used to get them to vote for pieces of shit like Trump. And it's not fun and it's not pretty to dismantle this, but I believe it has to be, because we are a first world country that values this crazy religious state. And you can look no further than the Middle East to see what happens when you don't have a completely secular nation. And the subjugation of women and kids is horrific. Furthermore, I just think there's a lot of bad shit that goes on in religions, all these pastors doing all this shit. You know what's going down in these rural towns.
I agree 100% with everything that you're saying. We just need to get everybody else on board with it in this country, okay? So I'm with you.
All right, we'll see you guys later.
It's so